It's a busy evening at Le Grand Maison, a luxurious restaurant known for its exquisite dishes and elite clientele. The air smells of freshly prepared truffle risotto, aged wine, and sizzling steaks. Soft classical music plays in the background as waiters in crisp uniforms glide across the floor, serving customers with trained precision. At the center of it all, Lucas, the head waiter, stands proudly, observing his kingdom. His uniform is spotless, his hair perfectly slicked back. He thrives in this environment, surrounded by wealthy guests' expensive suits and designer handbags. A wealthy businessman calls for service, snapping his fingers. Lucas immediately rushes over with a charming smile, addressing him as Sir, in the most polite tone. He nods approvingly as his staff maintain the restaurant's high standards. Then the door opens. A man steps inside, his clothes plain and worn out. His shoes are scuffed, his coat a little oversized, as if bought secondhand. He walks in quietly, scanning the room. Almost immediately, the atmosphere shifts. A few diners pause their conversations, glancing at him disapprovingly. The room, once lively, suddenly seems colder. Lucas narrows his eyes, feeling disgusted. He quickly judges the man. He doesn't belong here. His presence alone is an insult to their prestigious establishment. Lucas exchanges looks with another waiter, snickering. Beat. Instead of welcoming the man, Lucas stays put. He watches, waiting for him to realize his mistake and leave. But the man doesn't leave. He walks forward and chooses a table near the window. The best seat in the house. Lucas clenches his jaw, annoyed. No way would someone like that afford to eat here. With an exaggerated sigh, he finally approaches, his footsteps slow, deliberate. He doesn't greet the man. He doesn't offer him a menu. Instead, he just stares down at him, arms crossed. The man looks up, his expression calm. "Could I get a menu, please?" Lucas lets out a fake smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Without a word, he drops the menu on the table carelessly. It lands with a thud. Some customers whisper, amused by the scene. But the man? Unfazed. He simply picks up the menu and begins reading. Lucas scoffs. What a waste of time. The man takes his time, scanning the menu. Lucas, impatient, taps his fingers on his notepad. What's taking so long? It's not like he could actually afford anything. Finally, the man looks up. "I'll start with a glass of water." Lucas rolls his eyes. Of course, water. Instead of responding, he turns away, pretending not to hear. Minutes pass. The man sits quietly, still waiting. Other tables get their drinks, their appetizers, their full meals. But his water never arrives. Finally, Lucas comes back, an exaggerated fake smile plastered on his face. "Have you decided, sir?" His voice drips with sarcasm. The man nods, completely unfazed. "Yes, I'd like to order the Wagyu steak with black truffle sauce." Lucas freezes for a second. The most expensive dish on the menu? He stares at the man, then at his worn-out clothes. A chuckle escapes his lips before he can stop himself. "Are you sure?" he asks mockingly. "You know how much that costs, right?" The man nods, smiling. "I do." Lucas crosses his arms. "And how will you be paying?" The man raises an eyebrow. "I'll pay at the end of my meal, like everyone else." Lucas scoffs. "Right." Still, he writes down the order. He can't wait for the embarrassment when the man fails to pay. He turns, heading to the kitchen. The moment he steps inside, he bursts into laughter. "You won't believe this," he tells the chef. "Some guy, dressed like a hobo, just ordered the most expensive dish on the menu." The kitchen staff smirks. "Guess we'll be calling the cops later," one of them jokes. Lucas grins, feeling satisfied. This is going to be fun. He grabs the plated steak and heads back to the table. Instead of placing it gently, he sets it down hard, the plate clinking against the table. "Enjoy," Lucas says, his voice laced with sarcasm. The man picks up his knife and fork, completely ignoring the waiter's attitude. He cuts into the steak and takes a bite. Slowly, he chews, savoring the flavors. Lucas watches, waiting for some kind of reaction, but the man remains calm, unbothered, as if he's been here before. Lucas narrows his eyes, suspicious. Something feels off, but he doesn't know why. Not yet. Lucas watches from a distance, still smirking. The man takes his time eating, savoring every bite. It annoys Lucas. Why is he acting like he belongs here? Lucas walks past the table, pretending to check on other guests, but really, he's just watching. The man seems too comfortable, too confident. Lucas scoffs. Maybe he's delusional. Finally, after what feels like forever, the man puts down his fork and wipes his mouth with a napkin. He looks up at Lucas and nods. That was excellent. Lucas raises an eyebrow. Glad you liked it. His voice is thick with sarcasm. The man smiles. Could I get the bill now? Lucas chuckles under his breath. Here it comes. He quickly grabs the checkbook and slams it on the table. Take your time, he says mockingly. No rush. The man doesn't seem bothered. He opens the bill, glances at the total, and nods. Lucas folds his arms, waiting for panic, waiting for excuses, waiting for him to realize he can't pay. But instead, the man reaches into his coat. Lucas leans forward, expecting him to pull out a handful of crumpled bills or some loose change. Instead, the man pulls out a gold-plated pen. Lucas frowns. The man flips over the receipt and starts writing something on it. Lucas watches, confused. What is he doing? After a few moments, the man signs his name and pushes the receipt forward. Here you go. Lucas grabs the receipt and glances down at the signature. His smirk vanishes. His eyes widen. His stomach drops. The signature is familiar. Too familiar. It belongs to one of the most feared restaurant critics in the entire city. Lucas stares at the receipt, his hands suddenly sweaty. This can't be right. He looks at the name again. It is right. The man sitting in front of him, the one he mocked and ignored, isn't just some random poor guy. He is Jonathan Hale, the most influential food critic in the region. Lucas's mouth goes dry. The other waiters notice his expression and whisper among themselves. Something is wrong. Lucas swallows hard. You're... His voice cracks. You're Mr. Hale? The critic simply smiles, calm, unbothered. That's me. Lucas feels his knees go weak. This isn't happening. The critic leans back in his chair. I was planning to review this restaurant based on the food alone, but... Lucas flinches. The service was far more memorable. The room goes silent. Other guests are now listening. The kitchen staff peeks from behind the counter. The manager, who had been busy overseeing the evening rush, rushes over. His face is pale. Mr. Hale, I had no idea you were dining with us tonight. The critic looks at him. You didn't know because your staff didn't treat me like a regular customer. Lucas feels sick. The manager's smile falters. I apologize deeply for any misunderstanding. The critic tilts his head. Misunderstanding? Lucas winces. The critic sighs, tapping the table lightly. I was ignored. I was laughed at, and I was judged before I even ordered. The manager slowly turns to Lucas. Lucas doesn't dare meet his gaze. The restaurant falls into dead silence. Every staff member knows what's at stake. One bad review from Jonathan Hale could destroy the restaurant's reputation. The critic stands up, adjusting his coat. Lucas finally finds his voice. Sir, I didn't mean any disrespect. I thought... You thought I was poor. The critic finishes his sentence for him. Lucas closes his mouth. Jonathan Hale exhales softly. A good restaurant isn't just about food. It's about how you treat people. All people. Lucas swallows hard, his heart pounding. The critic gives one last look around before stepping toward the door. No one stops him. Everyone is too afraid. The moment the door closes behind him, the restaurant erupts into whispers. Lucas feels lightheaded. He knows exactly what's coming next, and it won't be good. The restaurant is silent. Lucas stands frozen, gripping the checkbook as if it could save him. His heart pounds. He messed up. Badly. The manager's expression is cold, his arms crossed. Furious. "Follow me. Now." His voice is quiet, but firm. Lucas swallows hard and follows him toward the back office. Behind them, the other waiters whisper. Some shake their heads. Others exchange nervous glances. Lucas enters the small office. The door slams shut behind him. The manager turns, eyes blazing. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Lucas stammers. "Sir, I didn't know. I thought—" "You thought," the manager cuts in, his voice sharp, "that a man's worth is based on his clothes?" Lucas stays silent. The manager slaps a printed review on the desk. Lucas's stomach drops. Jonathan Hale's latest review is already online. The title? Fine Dining or Discrimination? A Shocking Experience at Le Grand Maison. Lucas's hands tremble as he reads. Every detail is there. How he ignored the critic. How he laughed at him. How he intentionally delayed service. How he judged him before even taking his order. Everything. The manager pinches the bridge of his nose, exhaling sharply. "Do you know what happens now?" Lucas doesn't respond. But he knows. His job? Gone. The restaurant's reputation? Ruined. The manager's voice lowers, deadly serious. One bad review from Jonathan Hale can close a restaurant. Lucas's throat feels tight. "Sir, please." The manager raises a hand. "Stop." Lucas flinches. "I hired you to serve customers, not judge them." The manager's tone is cold. "You forgot one simple rule in this industry." Lucas looks up, desperate. The manager's eyes narrow. "Respect everyone, always." Silence. Then, "I want your apron and name tag on my desk." Lucas sucks in a breath. Fired. Just like that. His face burns with humiliation. His hands shake as he unpins his name tag. He sets it down, slowly. The restaurant is still buzzing with whispers as he walks out. Every waiter, every staff member, every customer. Watching. His own arrogance destroyed him. Days later, the restaurant is in crisis. The review has gone viral. Social media explodes with outrage. People cancel reservations. The once busy dining room now has empty tables. The owner holds emergency meetings. The manager apologizes publicly, but the damage is done. Meanwhile, Jonathan Hale sits at his favorite hidden gem cafe, sipping a fresh espresso. A different kind of restaurant. Small, humble, welcoming. He watches as the waiters serve everyone with a smile, whether they're in designer suits or simple jeans. He pulls out his notebook and starts writing. This time, it's a positive review. A review that will bring more customers, more success. Because in the end, it was never about the price of the food. It was about the way people are treated.